everyone. I'm here today in the car with my hubby. We're getting ready to go grocery shopping, and so I thought today would be the perfect day to talk more about food. Which foods I eat, which foods I don't eat, and why. So I have my cowboy bags here. So let's go shopping. way out. And of course, with it being winter, it is now pitch black outside. So, yeah, we're in the dark and the cold. Looking for the car. Okay, everyone. We are in the house, warm and toasty. All the groceries are put away. I was going to finish this video off sitting next to the Christmas tree because that's my favorite room in the house during this time of the year. But then I realized I have way too much stuff that I pulled off to the side to show you, and so I decided to sit in my usual spot at the table, and that way I could go through some stuff. So as far as with eating and groceries and how we handle things now, I've actually previously never been a person that really paid attention to what I ate. I have the luck of having a very fast metabolism. I've been the same weight all my life. Now the difficulty has been, really watching what I eat as far as something I've never had to do that before. The main things that I realize now that I need to look out for are, number one, sodium. Salt has a tendency to make your body hold on to water. That can affect your lungs. Your lungs is one of the places that the water seems to go to, the tissue in it, and it makes it harder for you to breathe, can increase your shortness of breath, can also affect your O2 levels because it makes it harder for your lungs to do their job. Sugars and carbohydrates also have a negative effect on your breathing. Sugars act just as salt does by helping your body to hold on to fluids. It also makes it harder for your body to process. So think of the O2 as going through a cycle, just like your blood does, going through from your lungs to your heart to the rest of your organs and then back out through your lungs. So anytime you're adding sugars or salts, your other organs have to process those, and it makes it harder for your body to do its job, and that affects the O2 levels as well. Carbohydrates do also what they sound like. They add extra carbon to your body. So extra CO2 makes it additional work for your body and your lungs to do a gas exchange. And for people that have COPD, this is going to be an additional burden. So to try to avoid salts, sugars, carbohydrates, basically eating as natural as possibly. The grocery store, what we try to do when we're shopping for what we eat is stick to the perimeter because that has a tendency to be where the healthiest foods are. So in other words, your veggies, your fruits, your meats, eggs, dairy, all that is going to be on the outskirts. And then your other foods, the less healthy processed foods, have a tendency to be towards the center. So if you can do most of your shopping on the outskirts, that's going to be best. We do still always have to hit a few interior aisles, some for different things that we need just to do cooking, and others for my daughter, who still spends quite a bit of time at our house. So we can't avoid the center of the grocery store altogether, but we definitely do most of our shopping from the outskirts. Another real quick, easy tip is if it does not have a label, then it's probably good for you. So in other words, your fruits and all that comes with no labels. And so those are generally good to eat. So when you have a breakdown of what all is in it, those are generally processed foods. So like your meats doesn't say, this much and that much of all these different things, added ingredients. So those are good. Your eggs don't do that either, So in general, any foods that don't have labels are good for you. keep in mind that fruits do have sugars. It's a natural sugar, but so you don't want to overload on them. You want to get some for their vitamins and what's good for you in them, but you also have to keep in mind that they do also have naturally occurring sugars. Then on top of that, some of the other things that I look for example, are so we try to avoid like the processed meats and stuff, and this isn't to say that we never do it, but like the lunch meats and stuff, like if I'm going to make chicken sandwiches or whatever, I try to go ahead and save the leftovers from a whole chicken, and then chop those up for sandwiches. And then with the mayo that we put on it, I try to stick to a mayo that is made with olive oil, so that at least if we're going to eat something, we try to eat the healthiest of that food with a label. Other examples of that are if I absolutely have a craving for chips, Lay's has a great chip that says lightly salted. There's another brand out there that has no salt. I think it's Jay's. That's like eating just cardboard. But the Lay's has a lightly salted, and there's only 85 milligrams of sodium in these. So it's generally, like, if you're having those cravings, if you can keep it to the healthiest version of them. Another alternative for chips are veggie chips. So that's a little bit better than, however, these do have more sodium than the Lay's ones. The Lay's ones actually taste really, really good. But this is another alternative. And then when I'm hungry for crackers and I absolutely have to have them, Ritz has a hint of salt. And I really like these too. So, like I said, if you are absolutely having that craving, try to limit yourself. But then when you do make choices to eat the other foods, at least make the best of the choices that are available. Then with other of the stuff like the butters that we cook with and everything, a lot of people may not even realize that you can buy unsalted butter. So that's what I use for the cooking. So I'm not adding additional salt in unknowingly. And then we use a lot of chicken broth. Sometimes I'll make my own chicken stock, but if I don't have time for that, I look for, this is organic and also low sodium. So, just keeping an eye out for that different stuff. This has 70 milligrams of sodium. Soup can really add up your sodium, so you really want to watch that. But the low sodium or organic chicken broths are great for help with that. Usually I'm drinking milk, water, or palm juice. I like it because, first of all, it's super, super good for you. And of the juices, it has not as much sugar. It has no added sugar. It's naturally occurring, but it's on the lower side than a lot of the other juices. I do drink also some lemonade, and that has no sugar added as well, so it's just what comes from the actual lemon. As you get more particular about your foods and what you put into your body, and depending on what you have available to you in your area for shopping, you can even take that a step further. We do it whenever we get the chance, but it can be hard because our store limits our ability with this. So to take it even one step further, if you bought all organic vegetables, some stores are really good about having, a wide selection of all organic vegetables. And I've actually found that the organic ones seem to last a little bit longer for whatever reason. It's strange because you would think that the treated veggies would last longer, but for some reason, I have found that the organic ones seem to last longer than just regular ones. So anything organic is been certified. So when something says all natural, that really doesn't mean anything. But if it's organic, that's a certification process. So you know for sure what you're getting. The next thing that you can step up and be more particular about, and we do it, like I said, whenever we get the chance, is our meats. If you can get them all to be grass-fed, those are going to be much healthier and closer to organic. Some are organic and grass-fed. Some are just grass-fed. The same with your eggs. If the chickens are kept outdoors, organic, it has to say. Free range doesn't necessarily mean they could be free range indoors and never see outside. So organic is a big part of it. If you can buy your eggs local, that's another option too, to buy them straight from a farm, or veggies. In the summertime here, we try to hit farmers markets and get our vegetables straight from there. But it's hard because we live in an area where we have a winter climate. So, we have to do what we have available to us. But yeah, these are the things that I have found that really helps. And when I had gotten out of the hospital, they told me to really limit my fluid intake. But what I found is if I limit my other fluid intake, so I count the water separate now because I know this now. So if I have like a milk in the morning and a milk with my dinner and drink water the rest of the day, I can drink as much water as I want. My body it runs it through. So it also helps to, like if I used to be a big soda drinker, that was all I used to live on, and I've almost all but completely cut it out. I do have maybe 1 or 2 a week. And what I found is that if I have some soda and I drink a lot of water before or after, it dilutes it, in my system, and it'll run through much like water as well. So if you do drink something or eat more salt, or a lot of times I have found for me, and I don't know if this will work for everybody, but for me, if I make a point to drink some extra water, then it does seem to lessen the effect. Now, that does not work with any fluid. So, like, in other words, if I eat something that I shouldn't have had extra salt, and then I drink soda instead of water, my body is going to retain all of that. So, I have to watch out for that. So, yeah, as far as eating and drinking, you just have to kind of, be smart about it and be reasonable. I try not to give into cravings that I have too often. We try to do most of our cooking at home now. If we eat out, we try to eat out at a place that cooks, not necessarily fast food, but every so often we do that. So, you try to control it the best you can, and then live a little too. So that's where we're at. And you'll find your happy medium. Like when I first started this, I started where we would only, because we used to eat out a lot. So then we started with that we would have to eat 2 meals at home and allow ourselves 1 out. And then we made it so that we eat all our meals at home except for maybe 2 during the week out. So it went from allowing once a day of getting something out to once or twice a week, and that's where we are still at now. And sometimes even we don't even do that during the week. Sometimes on our busiest days, we'll take something out like salmon or something that's really super easy to cook, and that way when we get home at the end of the night, salmon takes minutes literally, and you throw some broccoli in a pan and the salmon, and you can have a meal within 15-20 minutes, no problem. So yeah, and we are checking into some of the online ordering as far as meats and you know, organic ordering that way because of our limited access through our grocery stores here. What I'm having trouble with right now is I'm not sure that we could store all the meat that you order that way. So we're kind of just, you know, checking it out, seeing what we might come up with. There's a few different companies. I'm trying to look into all of them before I mention any names. But yeah, so you kind of just have to feel out what works for your system. There's a lot of back and forth on grains and whether people eat bread and whether it's better to be vegan or if you should be drinking milk. My personal opinion on all of that is find what works for you. Pay attention to your body. Keep a little journal. Write down how you feel after eating what, and then, you know, keep that for a while. And then you'll start noticing patterns. Of like, we cut out almost all pasta because I noticed after eating pasta I would have a really hard time breathing. And so once we found out what different triggers that I was having and what made it hard for me to breathe, and we basically cut those foods out almost completely. And yeah, that can be life-changing because then you're not triggering yourself every other day with different foods, just torturing yourself for no reason. So yeah, once you figure that out, it can make life a whole lot easier. So I hope this video was helpful. I'm sorry if it seemed rushed. It has been a busy, busy day. Besides that, I can't stand a grocery store. So it made it, I guess, a little bit more fun taking you guys with. And I will talk to you again soon. Happy shopping, grocery shopping. Bye-bye.